Howdy folks, and welcome back to World of Tanks with the mighty Jingles, and this is you are Kenny in the glorious, strongest of strong tanks, the KV-2. It's not the only KV-2 in this particular encounter battle on the Sigrid line map, however. There is another KV-2 on his team, and one on the enemy team as well, but we're not too concerned about him. Polymer Tank is the driver of the other KV-2, and between the two of them, you are Kenny and Polymer Tank, we're going to see what happens when the KV-2 gets tired of your shit. Now, unfortunately, only you or Kenny actually uploaded one of these replays to worldoftanksreplays.com. But I finally managed to get the free cam mod working again, so we're going to be able to track Polymer Tank's progress throughout the course of this battle as well. And this battle does not start off particularly well for our two strong tanks. Sigrid line is admittedly the ideal map for the KV-2, particularly when it's top tier and it's in counter mode. With that cap circle in the centre of the town, you can expect a lot of the fighting to be taking place in the city streets. And KV-2 loves to fight in city streets, because it can reload its gun around the corner of a building, roll out, derp you in the face with a 152mm high explosive, then pull back into cover after shrugging off maybe 110 damage from your foxy little 75 or 76mm pea shooter, cackling insanely while you wonder where all your health went. The trick when dealing with a KV-2 under these kind of circumstances is you have to keep your gun firing at it. Never give the KV-2 the opportunity to pull back into safety and reload the gun until it can roll out again and have another go, because you will come off worse. That's the trick, isn't it? Because it's often a lot easier said than done, particularly if the KV-2 driver has more than two brain cells to rub together and they're all sitting out isolated and alone on a flank. Because often, after the KV-2's taken its shot, if you choose to go out around the corner and take the fight to him, all you're doing is exposing yourself to fire from all of the tanks around the corner with him. If that's the case, it's often just a lot more safe and practical to go somewhere else, rather than get into a one-on-one peekaboo fight around the corner with a KV-2. But you would be amazed at the number of people who still seem to think it's a good idea, even when they're facing not one, but two KV-2s. You have to wonder what the VK was thinking. He saw the two KV-2s and ducked back around the corner, and then for some bizarre reason thought it was a good idea to roll out sideways on in front of both of their 152mm guns. Quite frankly, he's lucky to be alive, because it's not often that a tier 6 tank gets hit in the flank by two KV-2s at point blank range and lives to tell the tale. And the team are not doing too well. They're losing 6 kills to 1. So Kenny and Polymer Tank are going to have to actually start killing things. And they're going to have to do it quick. Panzer III-4 there misses the shot at Kenny and has more sense than the VK does, pulls back over the ridgeline. Kenny takes the shot anyway, even though it wasn't fully aimed, and unfortunately the gunner was only on his second pint of vodka and wasn't quite drunk enough for that shot to be able to hit the target without aiming. With Polymer Tank loaded and ready to decapitate the Panzer III-4 if he pops up again, Kenny heads south and has what can only be described as a little bit of a brown alert moment, but both he and the enemy KV-2 both miss their shots at each other. Kenny slaps his gunner around the head and shoulders and quickly hands him another pint of vodka and tells him to start drinking heavily. And Kenny takes a bit of a chance here, hoping to beat that other KV-2's reload, because the other KV-2 is not alone. Our little friend in the VK is with him, but the race is on to see which of these two KV gunners has drunk the most vodka, and that would be Kenny's. The VK appears to have learned his lesson. He's not just driving sideways on out in front of not just the KV-2, but also an OI experimental, although the same can't be said of the Covenanter. Did he really just do that? Meanwhile, the VK is at least trying to put into practice something undoubtedly learned from YouTube, but he's showing far too much side armour, so the VK meets his inevitable demise. And what's this cheeky little bugger doing? It's the Panzer III-4 that we saw earlier. He's got a taste of that KV-2 booty and he's hungry for more, and if he's not careful, he's going to get some more. But while Kenny's giving chase to this impertinent little tank, we're going to switch over to Polymer Tanker and see what he's been up to. Well, that should be pretty obvious by now. Polymer Tanker gave up camping the corner against that Panzer III-4, and instead he spotted himself something equally delicious, a VK3001D. He rolls around the corner, takes off 2/3 of his health, and then does the usual KV-2 thing. Pulls back, waits to reload. But this VK's blood is up, and he's determined to come out and inflict as much damage on him as he possibly can while he reloads. Unfortunately for the VK, while pulling back into cover, he got his tracks blown off. Oh dear. So that's Polymer Tank's first kill. Now back to Kenny, and that Panzer III-4. This little bugger's showing Kenny a clean pair of heels, but Kenny can see which way he's going. Then again, so can Polymer Tank. Now that's Polymer Tank's second kill. Unfortunately for Kenny, he fired his shot just a second too late, or that would have been his third kill. Kenny pulls back while reloading and looking for his next victim, and narrowly avoids getting hit by the Hummel in the process, and that's when the OI Experimental decides to make a reappearance. The OI takes a shot at something. What can it be? Nope. And having just fired his gun, Kenny has all the time in the world to make sure that that one does not miss. And disappointingly, the OI survives on 10 health. Kenny pulls back to reload once more. Now he's got a choice of targets to shoot at. Confident that anything to his rear can be handled by Polymer Tank in the other KV-2, who's he going to go? Oh, hello. Cheeky little bugger in the ELC. And now he's got a choice of targets, the Panzer IV or the OI. The OI is definitely the bigger threat. The gunner by now is blind drunk, so Kenny didn't even need to bother wasting time aiming at the OI there. That shot was always going to hit. And now he's chasing down the Panzer IV-H, who probably hadn't anticipated that a 3-on-1 against a KV-2 was going to end up like this. Recognising that he's doomed, the Panzer IV bends over, grabs his ankles, and face hugs Kenny's tank. The 152mm shell detonates so close it not only takes out the Panzer IV, it also blows Kenny's own tracks off. But hang on a minute, Kenny and Polymer Tank are the only two tanks left alive on their team. What's been going on? Well, Polymer Tank does indeed have Kenny's back. First, he obliterates the flak bus. Well, that cheeky little bugger in the ELC, who just did the drive-by on Kenny right before he put the final shot into the OI Experimental, has now got his sights set on that Covenanter on the far side of the cap circle. And he does another drive-by across the cap circle, bitch slaps the Covenanter, and then zooms away, cackling to himself gleefully, although not quite as clever as he thinks he is, because at this stage of the battle, Polymer Tank's gunner is just as drunk on vodka as Kenny's, and so he doesn't miss that shot. Meanwhile, Kenny is advancing north as fast as he can to link up with Polymer Tank's KV-2, because you don't want to be isolated when you're playing the KV-2 and you're outnumbered. Lots and lots of smaller tanks might not do as much damage with each shot, like that VK-2001, but if enough of them corner you, they can kill you before you reload. Of course, it's important that if you are in a smaller tank, that you do link up with the other tanks in your team, and you do all attack the KV-2s at the same time. And you don't roll out in front of a KV-2's gun when it can one-shot you, and you know he's loaded, and he's aiming, and he's waiting for you to do it. And now we've just about caught up with Polymer Tank. He's over there taking a hit from the enemy Hummel. And that's when the Hetzer pops out, a little too late for the VK, but he does manage to immobilise Kenny, and Kenny chooses not to use his repair kit. Instead, he's confident in his crew's ability to get the tracks back up and running and the tank on the move again before that Hummel could reload and re-aim, and, well, he got away with it. Meanwhile, Polymer Tank in hot pursuit of the Hetzer. Kenny sees Polymer Tank heading around to the north, decides to head around to the south. Who's going to spot the Hetzer first, and which way is the Hetzer going to be looking? And so that's now 5 kills each. Now you'll note that earlier on they formed a battlefield platoon, and they pretty much did this once they realised that they both had 3 kills, and providing you can survive the match with 3 kills for every platoon member, that's a Brothers in Arms medal. But it gets better than that, because with 5 kills each and 2 enemy tanks remaining, there's a potential Top Gun in it for both of them, and a crucial contribution for killing 12 enemy tanks between the members of the platoon. All they have to do is find and kill the last 2 enemy tanks. Now, let's think about this. The Hummel is artillery. It's the end of the game. There's just the Hummel and the Largo left. Where's that Hummel likely to be? Let's just check for the nearest source of water. Now, the Hummel was not trying to suicide before you all get started, but nevertheless, it is kind of ironic that if you want to track down and kill the enemy artillery in a game of World of Tanks, just look for the nearest open body of water, and he won't be too far. So it's a top gun for Kenny. All we have to do now is find and kill the Largo. It'd be nice if they could both survive so they could get the brothers in arms to go with the inevitable crucial contribution. Where's the Largo going to be, however? He's not been spotted and he hasn't killed anything. It's not an entirely unreasonable assumption to make that the Largo is AFK, and in fact that's the conclusion that they've both come to. Kenny and Polymer Tank are already busy congratulating themselves, and Kenny is even offering the Largo kill to Polymer Tank to ensure that they both come out of this game with a Top Gun to go with the brothers in arms and crucial contribution. That Largo, however, hands up everybody who thinks he is AFK. Normally, you'd probably be right, but he's not. Now cut the guy some slack, because he is in a tier 4 medium tank in a tier 6 battle with a pair of KV2s on the prowl. He hasn't actually done any damage to anything, but he's definitely not AFK. And they're about to find out, because he's managed to sneak into the cap circle. Well done to the Largo. He might not have done any damage to anything during the course of this battle, but at this point that's absolutely the right thing for him to do, and pretty much the only chance he has of winning this game. Is it going to be enough? Are they so far away from the cap circle that they're not going to be able to get back there in time to reset? Is this in fact yet another World of Tanks heartbreak video? Don't be silly, this is the KV2. It's the strongest of strong tanks. KV2 does not lose. Between the two of them, that's 2 Pfeiffer effects, 2 brothers in arms, 2 crucial contributions, 2 bruisers, 2 duelists, 2 top guns, 1 high caliber, 1 steel wall, and 1 hand, actually no, 2 steel walls, and 1 hand of God. That's 16 medals between the two of them. They're just taking the piss now, aren't they? They're just showing off. The KV2, it's a very strong tank. Hope you enjoyed today's video, folks. As always, take care, and I'll catch you next time.